Hey coach, in this lesson we're going to be diving into the art of turning casual connection requests, like can I join your Facebook group or random friend requests, into real opportunities to build relationships with potential clients. And it's not about being pushy, it's all about starting a conversation that feels natural and genuinely helpful and serves value to them. So first up, we're going to look at a simple DM sequence you can use with people requesting to join your Facebook group. Now, this builds on one of the previous engagement scripts where you're inviting people into your Facebook group. But this also works really well for random requests to join your Facebook group, because believe it or not, you are going to get people asking to join your Facebook group who you're not currently friends with. You know, if it's listed in the Facebook groups and it's got a good name, it's going to be searchable, it's going to be found by other people. You will get random requests to join your group who are people who are not friends and are people you've not had conversations with yet. So this first DM sequence is really good for that. So when someone reaches out and wants to join your Facebook group, rather than just hitting approve, you've already got some questions in there that are joining questions that they're going to have to answer. And the idea here is to engage with them a little bit more and ask them a few more questions about what they're looking for, the key challenges they're facing. This isn't about diving straight into some horrible sales pitch. It's more about getting to know them, allowing them to get to know you, what you're about, and showing that you're really interested in helping them with any challenges that they have, which are linked to what you do. And if it feels right, you can offer them a free strategy session, positioning you as that go-to person that's going to help them overcome the challenges. Then we'll move on to the second sequence that's in this lesson, which is all about those random friend requests. Now, if you get a friend request and it is clearly from a spammer or Bitcoin or something like that, then you're just not going to accept it at all. But if you're not sure, I would always urge you to accept, use this DM sequence, and then if you determine after that that they're not a potential lead, then you can just unfriend them again. But you will need to friend them in order to DM them. So if it's a potential lead or you're unsure, do friend them, and then we're going to go through this sequence which works out why they've sent you the request and whether or not they're someone that you do want to remain friends with. Because ultimately, there's no point filling up your friends list with people who you're never going to sell to. So if you determine through this DM sequence that they are just trying to sell to you, or they're somebody who's never going to be interested or never going to buy from you, then just goodbye, get rid. So the aim is that by the end of this lesson, you're going to have a very clear and concise way of handling both requests to join your Facebook group and qualifying and trying to push them towards a strategy session or solving their problems. And with inbound friend requests you receive, you're going to be qualifying to see whether they're potential prospects, and again, pushing them towards the direction and warming them up. So let's first take a look at the Facebook joining request sequence. So as with all of these sequences that I've prepared for you, they are all in three parts. The first part is about qualifying, second part is about digging deeper, and the third part is about sort of taking some form of action and putting something valuable in front of them. And as with all of the DM scripts, you do need to make sure you're friends first. Okay, so if you do get a request from a randomer to join your Facebook group, make sure they've answered the Facebook joining questions first of all. And then add them as a friend, and then leave them there as a request until they've accepted your friend request. And then that's when you can start accepting them into the group and then having the chat with them. So you must be friends first, you grant them access to your group, and then you launch into welcome to the group. And what you're then interested in is, within your questions, you would have asked, one of the questions to join was, would you like a free strategy session? So you're looking now specifically at how they answered that. If they said no, they didn't want a free strategy session, then that goes on to the next part in a minute. If they'd said yes, then really that's where you're going to jump straight in and say, great, I see from your joining questions you said you'd like a free strategy session. Is that right? And it's right to double check, because sometimes people go click, 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 click when they're joining, and they might have done it by mistake. So you're giving them the option to say, oh, sorry, no, I actually did it by mistake. In which case you then say, oh, all right, no worries. But if they say, yes, I did see that question and I did answer that because I did want a free strategy session, you're going straight back then with, okay, I can do this date and time or that date and time. And you're giving them two options, and you're going to try and book within the next 72 hours. If they can't do those times, go back again and suggest two more. Don't just send your calendar booking link. If after sending 3 to 4 different dates and times, you're still backwards and forwards, that's the point at which you could send your calendar link. But I can tell you now, it's a lot more successful and you get a lot more show up rate when you've dealt with it there and then and they've committed to a date and time then, and it's only a couple of days away maximum. Whereas when you send them a link and if they've booked it and it's like 2 weeks away or something like that, the likelihood is they will be a no-show. So this is why we try and push with this message to give them a couple of options that they can just select and say, yes, that would work for me. And if that's the case, you then use your Calendly link or your scheduling link and you book it on their behalf. So you'd say, okay, great, I'll do the booking for you now. Can I just take your email address? Can I take your number? And then you book it on their behalf and then they will get the calendar invite. So that's assuming that when they've joined your group, they've said they did want a strategy session. If they say, oh, sorry, actually, it was a mistake, I clicked the wrong thing. Or if they came to join your group and didn't want a strategy session, that's then when you then invoke part 2. And part 2 here is very similar to part 2 in the engagement post sequence, where you've accepted them into the group, you've said welcome to the group, and you're now saying, I'd love to add more value. Is it okay to ask you some questions? And then you follow that same sequence through again, ideally getting the positive answers, ideally finding out what their biggest challenge is. It's then also then going to work out whether they have a strategy for overcoming that challenge. And again, this sequence really is all about trying to push towards a strategy session for them to serve them value to help them overcome their challenge. If they don't have any challenges and it's more of they want to be in your group and they're still sussing you out, they're still trying to work out that know, like, and trust, then that's fine. At any of those stages, they're perhaps going to say, no, I don't have a challenge, or no, I don't want a strategy session. And then the conversation sort of fizzles out, but at least they're still in your group. They're still there. And now they can see all of the available posts in there and anything new that you post in that group to nurture. And if in the future you go through that sequence and you work out that, well, actually, this person shouldn't be in my Facebook group, it turns out they're not my ideal person after all, just eject them from the Facebook group. And if they turn out to be a spammer, eject them from your friends list. There's nothing wrong with accepting people into the fold and then pushing them back out again. It's better that than to eject too soon at the start and just not accept friend requests and not accept people into your group. Err on the side of trusting people and thinking that there's an opportunity there before you discount them. Don't just judge and discount straight away because you just never know. So that's the DM sequence that you're going to use for requests into your Facebook group. Next, we're going to look at the sequence that you're going to use for random friend requests that come in. Now, don't get me wrong. If friend requests come in and they're people you know, then you can just dive into a conversation and say, oh, great. It's great to have you here. Thanks for being on my friends list. Again, you could say, oh, by the way, I don't know whether you know, but I've got a Facebook group. You could invite them to that. But this is for random friend requests. So again, just to remind you, if you can see straight away without a shadow of a doubt that they're a spammer, someone that's just going to waste your time, then just don't accept. But if you are unsure, if you can't work it out, if you're thinking, well, oh, are they? Maybe they're useful. In fact, maybe they're a competitor, but you know what? To have a competitor in my friends list, I might then be able to see their friends, or if not, or Facebook might start suggesting to their friends that now we've got mutual friends in common, it might start suggesting my profile to them. So don't always just think it's not worth accepting friend requests. It absolutely is. But let's look at the way in which we can try and turn a friend request into understanding more about them and perhaps warming them up as a lead if they are a potential for us. So first of all, we're checking the profile and we're accepting if they are a potential lead or if they serve some value. If they're an obvious spammer, then we don't. And then you accept the friend request. And again, remember, you have to accept the friend request before your DMs are going to get seen. So you accept the friend request and then you become inquisitive. So we're going to go back with, hey, Trevor, thanks for the friend request. Can I ask, is there a particular reason why you're connecting with me? So we're then opening it up to work out, well, what is that reason? And based on what they come back with, we're either going to determine, well, actually, it was spam and sales after all. They've just gone straight into a pitch slap and tried to sell web services to us. Right? Well, if that's the case, right, well, it's something I'm not interested in right now, but wishing you a great day. And now this is the counterintuitive action. You've determined they're probably a spammer or somebody who has contacted you to try and sell their services, but it could be that they've contacted lots of people like you or lots of people in your niche to try and sell their services. So you could unfriend, but personally, I wouldn't unfriend. I would leave them as friends unless they become annoying. I would leave them as friends because what it will then do, Facebook will then suggest your profile to their friends, and they may have lots of friends which are your potential clients. So don't just automatically unfriend. Do consider keeping some people who aren't ideal, because you've already accepted the friend request now. Now you can probably utilize it. If it turns out it goes nowhere, you might want to have a clear out in the future, but you just don't know where it goes right now, right? So if it's spam or sales, I would keep them until such time they become annoying, and then you would clear them out. If they are a useful non-lead, so again, this is a similar sort of vein really. You might have a competitor, somebody else who's a coach in exactly the same niche as you or a similar niche to you. I would always accept their friend requests. I'm quite proud of what I do. I know that I do it quite a different way than other people. And if people want to copy me, fill your boots. There's plenty of clients out there. But you know what? There might be lots of clients that they have on their list that now, again, it's Facebook is going to look at their friends list, look at my friends list, and it's going to suggest contacts. I'm going to be suggested as a recommended person to connect to for this other person's friends, even though we're not currently friends. So if they come back and say, oh, no, it was just a bit of mild interest because we're in the same sort of area of work, so I thought it'd be interested to be connected, I'd go back and say, right. So I'd probably compliment them in some way. I wouldn't show that I was in any way annoyed or pissed off. It would be like, oh, great. Well, yeah, I always like to, to widen my network of people with a similar sort of ideas on things. And then, again, I would not unfriend. I would keep them friended. Because, again, their friends might be potential leads. And I'm not suggesting you go and look at their friends and try and add them all. You don't need to. The Facebook algorithm will look at friends and it will make suggestions. So that's if it's a useful non-lead. And again, if we determine that the reason they've added us is because they're a potential lead. So yeah, I've added your car because I've had loads of people going on about how you help them attract clients and some of the successes they've had. I thought it'd be really useful to see what you're about and how you could possibly help me. Great stuff. So then they're a potential lead. So then you start going into something very similar to some of the other sequences, which is qualifying, is your niche and problem something that they are actually interested in? So the first thing I'd say is, okay, great, Trevor. So is content about attracting clients or breaking bad habits? Is that something you're interested in? And they're going to give you a yes or a no. If they give you a yes, at this point, then you're going to say, great stuff. Well, I've got a free Facebook group. Would you like to join? Clearly don't invite them if they're already in the Facebook group. The likelihood is they're probably not. So just double check first. And then it's all about trying to take it beyond just a mild interest. Now they're on your friends list. You're now trying to get them into your group. You're saying, is it okay to ask a few questions? You're trying to go deeper on any challenges they may have. And if they have challenges and they don't have a strategy to fix it, or if their strategy is not fast enough, you're going to offer up booking a strategy session with you. So the cool thing here is there will be some friend requests that are of use. There'll be friend requests you get which are a complete waste of time, pitch slapping, crypto coin related stuff, or people that are just straight away saying about their web services, and you'll better figure those out, ignore them. There'll be some that you can't work out and you'll draw in, and then you'll determine that yes, they may be like that, but there's an advantage to keeping them in your list because of their Facebook friend suggestion stuff. And there'll be people who come in who are genuinely interested in you and are your ideal client. And that's when you need to double down on trying to nurture them, trying to push them towards your Facebook group, trying to explore with them what their challenges are, Ask them questions about that, engage in a conversation, and then perhaps also even offer up a strategy session if they don't already have a strategy to overcome their challenges. And again, the key thing is, don't think of this as selling, think of this as serving. You are trying to help them. You're determining whether or not they have an issue, and you are offering some free advice by way of a strategy session. So these DM sequences are really powerful, even for inbound requests, inbound Facebook requests, and inbound friend requests. So don't just get super suspicious when you get Facebook friend requests and just deny, reject, and ignore. Do consider that every single one who comes through could have some purpose or use.